Hello guys, you're welcome to another video. Now in this video we're going to be talking about column widget inside of the Flutter framework. So what is the column widget? So a column widget is what allows you to display like a list of widgets inside. It allows you to stack a list of widgets in a linear fashion. So for example, say you're designing like your normal user interface and you want to specify sections of your app. So for example, you could have like this be like the header section where you just display some basic information and some buttons, and here you could have some quick buttons or some images that just scrolls horizontally, and there you're probably gonna have like some other content you want to add. So the column allows you to display a linear list of content inside of your user interface. Now, one thing to note is that a column in Flutter does not scroll, right? So a column is just there, but it doesn't have any scrollable functionality. And of course, you could add like something like a scrollable as its parent to make the column able to scroll, but by default, the column widget in Flutter does not scroll. So I'm going to say that the child of this container is a column. Alright, now the column has a couple of properties. The column has children, for example. Now, a child of this column, children of this column, now if I specify them inside of this array, you're going to see that they're going to be specified in a linear fashion, top to bottom. Alright, so it's going to render the first widget that I pass inside of here, then the second, then as much as I have inside of this column. So how can I do this? Well, I can have, for example, like a drop down button, and I'm going to specify a couple of drop down items here. So for example, let's say that I was designing like a user interface for like my theme, maybe like a settings kind of thing, and I wanted to specify drop down menu item. So here this is going to be context yeah, there we go. We have black theme, and then we're going to specify a dark theme, and so we also need a hint, which is going to be a text. So for example, say we have something like this, and of course this needs some value. There we go. But this also needs some value to be set. For example, we have 0 and 1 and 2. There we go. So now with this, as we have it, we're going to do some hard reload to make sure that we can now see this. As you can see, the container has changed, so I have to do finite to make sure that the width is constrained. And if I reload this, that should work now. Good. So now I'm going to also change the color to, I don't know, just going to remove the color of the container, which means the container is now useless, and I can remove the widget to just put the column as the parent. And now if I do hot reload, you're going to see now that we have this select theme drop down button, and if we click on it, you're going to be able to select theme from here, just as you might expect, and everything that works is expected, of course. And now this is just one item, one child of the column. Now of course I could decide to add a bunch of others. For example, I could add like a list tab here now, for something like, I can make the type to like text and say bottom reports, and then I can make the subtitle another text, and then say click to submit bulk reports. course, you specify an tab if I want to handle when the list style is tabbed. And I hope you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. So if you're trying to build a UI that has vertically, that you have things that you have to stack vertically, and this is how you're gonna build it. Alright, so if I do hot reload now, you're gonna see now that after this, now we have this list item here. And of course you could build on top of that by adding another item inside of here. And of course, so you can do something like send feedback or read app. Something like this, and if you log in, if you refresh this now, you're gonna get this. And so this is how easy it is to create compelling UI in using just the column widget. All right, so if you add anything you want here, you could add, for example, like an image. I think there's a Flutter logo widget, so that could serve as like an image or whatever. And as you can see, that is just another one of the items that I add to this column, right? And if I refresh this now, you're gonna see that the Flutter logo is gonna show up right here. And I believe that'll be the end of this video. There is also something else I want to show you guys. So take for example, I have a sized box. Now the height of the sized box is going to be 3, or let's just say 800. All right, just to make sure that it's big enough. Now the size of this sized box, the height of the sized box is 800. Now if I refresh this now, the size of this sized box is going to be way bigger than what the container has its maximum height. And as you can see, we have an error here that says the specific blah 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 is overflowing. As you can see, it says overflowed by 504 pixels. Now in this case, you notice that you cannot actually scroll in your column. And like I said, column is not scrollable. So how do you fix this? All right, so if you have like an application and you don't know if the user is actually going to need to scroll, some UI components might overflow, like the size box, for example. The way to fix that, you can actually fix that in 2 ways. One way is to change this to a list view, which we're going to talk about in depth in another video, and this is going to work. All right, so if you change this to a list view, you're going to see that the error is going to go away, and now you can scroll your application without issues. So if you take a look at this, you're going to see now that your list view allows you to scroll the application. And another way, if you don't want to use a list view, is to actually use what is called a single child scroll view. So I'm going to wrap this widget with another widget. I'm going to call it a single child scroll view. Alright, I'm not going to call it a single child scroll view. I'm going to use the single child scroll view. Alright, and then now I can do hot reload, and when I reload that, you're going to see that everything comes back as we expect. And now I can still scroll as you might expect. So those are 2 ways to. Now of course there are differences. Now this is equivalent to just using the list view, so I think it's much better to just use list view in some cases, but sometimes if you just want to use a column that you just have some things that might need to scroll, then you can actually use that. Anyway, that'll be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.